What would you do if the woman you loved showed up at your door with nothing but a torn dress, haunted eyes, and a past she refused to speak about? This isn't just a love story, it's a story about survival, trust, and the kind of strength that can break a man, or rebuild him completely. Before we begin, make sure you subscribe, because stories like this don't just entertain, they stay with you. The wind howled across the dry plains that evening, carrying dust and the distant echo of something broken. Daniel Hayes leaned against the wooden post outside his ranch, his weathered hat pulled low, eyes scanning the horizon out of habit more than expectation. Life out here didn't change much. Same sun, same silence, same loneliness. Until he saw her. At first, she looked like a mirage, just a fragile shape stumbling through the fading light. But as she came closer, Daniel straightened, his instincts sharpening. Something wasn't right. Her steps were uneven, her body swaying like she might collapse any second. And then he saw the dress. Torn, dirty, hanging loosely off her shoulders like it had been through hell itself. She stopped a few feet away from him, breathing hard, eyes wide with something deeper than fear, something shattered. "Please," she whispered, her voice barely there. "I don't have anywhere else to go." Daniel didn't ask questions. Not yet. He stepped aside and opened the door. "Come in." Inside, the ranch house was simple, wooden floors, a small table, a fire that hadn't been lit yet. She stood near the entrance, unsure, like she didn't belong anywhere, not even here. Daniel grabbed a blanket and gently placed it over her shoulders. She flinched. That told him everything. "You're safe here," he said quietly. She didn't answer. Instead, she just nodded, like she wanted to believe it but didn't know how. Her name was Emily. He learned that hours later, after she had eaten like someone who hadn't seen food in days. Even then, she barely spoke. Every word seemed like it cost her something. Days turned into weeks. Emily stayed. Not because Daniel asked her to, but because she had nowhere else to go. And slowly, something began to change. She started helping around the ranch. At first, it was small things, washing dishes, sweeping the floor. But then she moved to feeding the horses, fixing fences, even waking up before sunrise to help with the cattle. Daniel noticed. Not just the work, but the way she did it. There was no complaint, no hesitation, just quiet determination, like she was trying to prove something. Or outrun something. One morning, Daniel found her struggling with a stubborn horse that refused to be saddled. "You're doing it wrong," he said, stepping closer. She didn't back away this time. "Then show me." There was something in her voice, firm, steady. Not broken. Not anymore. Daniel paused, then stepped beside her, guiding her hands. "Not force," he said. "Trust." Emily looked at him, really looked this time. And what if trust gets you hurt? Daniel didn't have an answer for that. Because deep down, he knew she wasn't talking about the horse. That night, the storm came. Thunder cracked across the sky, rain slamming against the roof like it wanted to tear the world apart. Emily sat by the fire, her knees pulled to her chest, eyes distant. Daniel watched her from across the room. "Storms don't last," he said. She gave a small, bitter smile. "Some do." And then, for the first time, she told him. It wasn't a simple story. It was a nightmare. She had run from a place she once called home. A place where love had turned into control. Where promises had turned into pain. Where leaving wasn't just hard, it was dangerous. The torn dress wasn't an accident. It was the last thing she wore when she escaped. Daniel felt something shift inside him. Anger. Not loud, not explosive, but deep and steady. The kind that stays. "I won't let anyone hurt you here," he said. Emily shook her head. "You don't understand, he won't stop looking for me." Daniel's jaw tightened. "Then let him come." Weeks passed. And for the first time in what felt like forever, Emily smiled. Not often. Not fully. But enough. She laughed once, when Daniel slipped in the mud chasing a runaway calf. It was soft, unexpected, and it hit him harder than anything else. That's when he realized it. He was falling for her. Not because she was perfect. But because she wasn't. Because she had been broken, and chose to stand anyway. Because every day, she fought battles no one else could see. And she kept going. But peace doesn't last forever. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, a truck pulled up near the ranch. Daniel saw it first. Emily felt it. Her face went pale. No, she whispered. The door slammed. Heavy footsteps. And then, Emily. The voice was sharp, familiar, terrifying. Daniel stepped forward, placing himself between her and the man approaching. You need to leave, Daniel said calmly. The man laughed. That's not your decision. Emily's hands were shaking. But then, something changed. She stepped beside Daniel. No, she said. Her voice wasn't weak anymore. It is. The man's expression darkened. You think you can just run. You belong to me. Silence. Then Emily took a breath. And said the words that changed everything. I don't belong to anyone. What happened next wasn't dramatic. No fight. No chaos. Just a quiet moment where power shifted. The man realized something. She wasn't the same girl anymore. And Daniel wasn't going anywhere. He left. Not because he wanted to. But because he knew. He had already lost. That night, Emily sat on the porch, staring at the stars. Daniel joined her. You okay? He asked. She nodded. Yeah, I think I am. There was a long pause. And then she turned to him. You didn't have to do that. Daniel smiled slightly. Yeah, I did. Months later, the ranch felt different. Warmer. Alive. Emily wasn't just surviving anymore. She was living. And Daniel, he wasn't alone anymore. One morning, as the sun rose over the fields, Emily stood beside him, her hand brushing against his. Funny, she said softly. What is? I came here with nothing. Daniel looked at her. And now, she smiled. Now I have everything I never thought I deserved. Daniel didn't say anything. He didn't need to. Because sometimes, love isn't about grand gestures. It's about staying, protecting, believing. And as the wind moved gently across the plains, the cowboy who once lived in silence finally found something worth holding onto.